You'll only see this right before it all clicks for you. 1. Discomfort is a sign you're growing, not failing. 2. Consistency matters more than talent or luck. 3. Breakthroughs come right after the hardest moments. Discomfort is a sign you're growing, not failing, and that truth hits hardest when life feels like it's squeezing you from every angle, when nothing feels familiar anymore, and even your own reflection looks like someone you don't fully recognize, because growth doesn't knock politely, it barges in, flips the furniture, and dares you to find balance in the chaos. And right there in that uneasy space, most people panic and assume something has gone wrong. Yet the reality is quite the opposite. Something has finally gone right, because comfort never built character, never sharpened vision, never pulled greatness out of anyone. Comfort keeps you average, numb, and asleep, while discomfort wakes you up, shakes you, and forces you to confront who you really are and who you're capable of becoming. And sure, it feels heavy, like walking uphill with no clear view of the top, but muscles don't grow without resistance, and neither does the mind or the spirit. So when you feel stretched beyond what you thought you could handle, that's not a breakdown, that's expansion. That's life quietly upgrading you to the next level without asking for permission. And think about it, every meaningful change you've ever experienced came wrapped in uncertainty, fear, or pain, whether it was stepping into a new role, letting go of people who no longer fit your future, chasing a dream that scared you half to death, or standing alone when you wished someone would just understand. Those moments didn't feel good in real time, yet looking back, they were the turning points, the crossroads where you either chose growth or retreated to what was safe. And the irony is, the mind hates discomfort because it loves predictability. It wants guarantees, but life doesn't work that way. Purpose doesn't come with a map, and destiny doesn't send reminders. It reveals itself only to those willing to walk through doubt without losing faith. And that's why discomfort feels personal. It whispers lies, tells you you're not ready, not good enough, too late, too early, too different. But those thoughts aren't warnings, they're tests, and tests don't show up to stop you. They show up to see if you're serious, and here's the part most people miss. Discomfort isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to introduce you to a stronger version of yourself that can't exist without pressure. And just like coal needs heat to become a diamond, you need friction to uncover your brilliance. So when things stop making sense, when progress feels slow and the applause is silent, don't rush to label it failure, because failure looks like giving up, and discomfort looks like staying in. Fight even when your confidence is shaking, and yes, there will be moments when you question your choices, replay your mistakes, and wonder if you took the wrong turn. But growth doesn't move in straight lines. It zigzags, loops, and sometimes feels like going backward. Yet every step is still teaching you something essential: patience, humility, resilience, focus, and the courage to trust yourself when no one else is clapping. And if you really pay attention, discomfort sharpens your awareness. It strips away distractions, exposes weak habits, and forces you to get honest about what you want and what you're willing to sacrifice for it, because dreams demand payment and discomfort is often the currency. And the truth is, if you're not uncomfortable, you're probably not aiming high enough, not pushing far enough, not challenging the limits that have kept you stuck. And that's why those who achieve extraordinary things don't run from discomfort, they lean into it. They understand that unease is temporary but regret lasts, and they'd rather endure a season of struggle than a lifetime of wondering what could have been. So when you wake up feeling uneasy about where you are, good, that means you've outgrown that space. When your routines feel tight and your goals feel bigger than your current abilities, good, that means growth is calling. And when fear shows up loudest right before you make a move, good, that means the move matters. And remember, discomfort doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're brave enough to step outside what's familiar, and bravery isn't loud. It's quiet persistence, showing up again and again even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. And one day, not all at once but gradually, you'll notice how that discomfort changed you, how it strengthened your discipline, refined your mindset, and built a confidence that doesn't depend on applause or approval because you've been tested and you didn't quit. And when that day comes, you won't thank the easy times, you'll thank the uncomfortable ones, the nights of doubt, the mornings of discipline, the moments you wanted to stop but didn't, because those were the moments that proved you were growing all along, not failing, just becoming. Consistency matters more than talent or luck, and that idea sounds simple until life tests it, until motivation fades, results stall, and nobody seems to notice your effort, because in a world obsessed with quick wins and overnight success, consistency feels boring, slow, even pointless at times. Yet it's the quiet force behind every lasting achievement you admire, the unseen discipline that keeps someone showing up long after excitement has packed its bags and left. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Talent might open a door, luck might crack a window, but consistency is what keeps you in the room when everything else runs out. Because talent without consistency is like potential without execution, impressive on paper but unreliable in real life, and luck without consistency fades as fast as it arrives, but consistency, steady and unglamorous, compounds in ways you don't notice day to day, yet over time it becomes undeniable, and that's where most people fall off, not because they can't do the work, but because they can't do it repeatedly when the work stops feeling rewarding, when progress feels invisible and effort feels one-sided. And that's exactly when consistency matters most, because consistency isn't about intensity, it's about reliability, it's about deciding who you're going to be regardless of how you feel, and feelings are unreliable partners. They change with weather, opinions, moods, and circumstances. But consistency anchors you, it turns discipline into identity. And once something becomes who you are rather than what you're trying to do, quitting feels unnatural. And think about it. Anyone can be motivated for a week. Anyone can work hard when praise is loud and results are fast. But the real separation happens in the quiet middle, that stretch where nothing exciting is happening, where the gap between effort and reward feels too wide, and it's there that consistency becomes a superpower, because while others stop, slow down, or start doubting, you keep moving, not perfectly, not heroically, just steadily, and that steady movement creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence, not the loud kind, but the deep kind that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself and self. Trust is priceless, because once you trust yourself to show up, you stop negotiating with excuses, you stop waiting for the perfect mood, and you start understanding that success isn't built on inspiration, it's built on habits, and habits don't care if you're tired, busy, or unsure, they just get done. And that's why consistency beats talent, because talent often relies on feeling ready, while consistency moves even when you don't feel like it. And over time, consistent effort sharpens skill, deepens understanding, and builds mastery. So what once required effort becomes second nature, and suddenly people call you gifted, lucky, or special, not realizing they're witnessing years of repetition layered quietly on top of each other. And luck, when it does show up, favors the consistent, because opportunity recognizes preparation, and preparation is nothing more than consistency practiced over time. And here's another uncomfortable truth. Consistency is lonely, because it means saying no when others say yes. It means staying in when others are out celebrating. It means working without witnesses, and that loneliness makes people question if it's worth it. But consistency isn't about being seen, it's about becoming, and becoming something meaningful takes time, repetition, and patience, qualities that don't trend well but never fail. And when setbacks happen, and they always do, consistency becomes even more important, because talent might get discouraged and luck might disappear, but consistency adapts. It adjusts pace without abandoning direction. It understands that missing a day doesn't mean quitting the journey, and that resilience, the ability to return again and again, is what builds long-term success. And look closely at anyone who's sustained success over years, not months, and you'll find a pattern: not constant motivation, not flawless performance, but consistent effort. Imperfect yet persistent, and that's why consistency changes your mindset. It shifts your focus from outcomes to actions, from applause to progress, and that shift frees you from frustration because you stop obsessing over how far you have to go and start focusing on what you can do today. And today is always manageable, and that's how consistency keeps you moving forward without overwhelming you, one step, one rep, one choice at a time, and over time, those small choices stack up, quietly reshaping your life, your skills, your standards, and your self-image, because when you consistently keep promises to yourself, you build integrity, and integrity builds confidence that no external validation can replace, and eventually, consistency rewires your relationship with time. You stop rushing, stop chasing shortcuts, and start trusting the process, understanding that anything worth having takes longer than you want but less time than quitting and starting over repeatedly, and that patience becomes a form of strength, because while others burn out chasing fast results, you endure, and endurance wins, not loudly, not instantly, but inevitably, and when success finally shows up, it doesn't feel like luck. It feels familiar because you've been living like that person long before the results caught up. And that's the final lesson consistency teaches, that success isn't something you reach one day. It's something you practice daily, long before anyone else notices, long before it pays off, long before it makes sense. And that's why consistency matters more than talent or luck. Because it's the one thing you control, the one thing that shows up even when everything else doesn't, and the one thing that, given enough time, turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Breakthroughs come right after the hardest moments, and that's one of life's quiet truths that only makes sense once you've lived through it. Because when pressure is at its peak and hope feels thin, that's usually when something inside you is being rearranged for the better, even if it doesn't feel that way at the time. And most people never get to see what's on the other side simply because they stop too soon, right before the moment everything could have shifted. And that's the tragedy of quitting early. It steals the reward that pain was preparing you for, because struggle isn't random. It's purposeful. It's life testing your commitment, sharpening your focus, and asking a simple question: how badly do you want this? And when the road gets rough, when progress slows, when doors seem closed and silence replaces encouragement, that's not the end. That's the narrowing of the path. The moment where the crowd thins out and only those with real resolve keep walking. And think about it, every major breakthrough, personal, professional, spiritual, has a moment right before it where things feel darkest, where doubt is loud, where fatigue sets in, and where the temptation to walk away feels logical, even justified, and yet that's the very moment that carries the seed of change, because pressure creates clarity. It strips away illusions, distractions, and half-hearted intentions, leaving behind what truly matters, and that clarity is powerful because it forces you to decide, not emotionally but intentionally, whether you're going to keep going or retreat to what's comfortable. And comfort, while tempting, never delivers breakthroughs. It only preserves the status quo, and that's why the hardest moments feel so intense. They're standing between you and the next level, demanding a higher version of you, one with more patience, more grit, more belief than you've had before. And here's the part that's easy to miss when you're in it. Those moments aren't designed to crush you. They're designed to refine you, because raw potential isn't enough. It has to be tested, stretched, and proven, and hardship does that work quietly, often painfully, but effectively. And that's why growth feels uncomfortable, because you're shedding an old identity and stepping into a new one, and transitions are never smooth. They're awkward, uncertain, and lonely, and that loneliness convinces many people they're on the wrong path, when in reality, they're just ahead of the crowd, walking a road that doesn't have many footprints yet. And when setbacks pile up, when failure repeats itself in different forms, it's easy to assume the universe is against you, but more often than not, it's aligning things, removing shortcuts, forcing you to build strength instead of relying on luck, and that strength becomes the foundation your breakthrough needs, because without it, success would collapse under its own weight. And look back at moments in your own life, times you thought you couldn't go on, times you felt emotionally drained, mentally exhausted, and physically worn down, yet somehow you did go on, and later you realized those moments changed you. They toughened your skin, sharpened your judgment, and taught you resilience, and that's proof that the hardest moments don't end you, they elevate you, but only if you stay present long enough to let them do their work. And staying present doesn't mean being fearless. It means moving forward while scared. It means choosing effort over escape, and faith over frustration. And faith here doesn't mean blind optimism. It means trusting that this pain has a purpose even when you can't see the outcome yet. And that trust is a muscle. It strengthens each time you refuse to quit. And as it grows, so does your capacity to handle more. And capacity is what breakthroughs require, because breakthroughs aren't just rewards, they're responsibilities. They demand a mindset capable of sustaining them, and that's why timing matters, why things don't happen when you want them to, but when you're ready for them. And readiness is built in the fire of difficulty, not the comfort of ease. And when you're in that fire, when everything feels like it's testing your patience at once, remind yourself that nothing great arrives without resistance, that every meaningful transformation passes through discomfort, and that the moment you're tempted to give up might be the moment you're closest to change. And closeness doesn't feel like excitement. It feels like exhaustion, because you've poured so much into the process already, and you're tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of explaining your vision to people who don't see it yet. But that tiredness is also evidence of effort, and effort never disappears. It compounds even when results lag behind, and that delay, as frustrating as it is where character is built, because character is who you are when no one's watching and nothing's working, and that character will outlast any temporary setback. And one day, often unexpectedly, things shift, not dramatically at first, but subtly. A door opens, a connection forms, a skill clicks, a perspective changes, and suddenly what once felt impossible feels manageable, and then inevitable. And when that breakthrough happens, you don't just celebrate the success, you understand the struggle differently. You see how every hard moment was shaping you, not punishing you, preparing you, not rejecting you, and that realization changes how you face future challenges, because you stop panicking at difficulty and start respecting it, knowing it's part of the process, not a sign to abandon it. And that's the wisdom earned only by those who stayed when it was hardest, who chose persistence over panic, and patience over pressure. And if you're in that space right now, where everything feels heavy and progress feels slow, don't rush your exit. Don't assume the story is ending just because the chapter is difficult, because breakthroughs rarely announce themselves in advance. They arrive quietly after endurance has done its work, and when they do, you'll realize that the hardest moments weren't obstacles in your way, they were the doorway, and all you had to do was keep walking long enough to step through.